Okay, do it yourself is not something that I really knew how to do when I was little. My mother and I were never separated from the womb. She was very protective, and for good reasons, which is a whole other story. But she would do things like finish my projects for me at school the night before, or really just be there in ways that didn't help me do it myself. And even as an adult, when I was married, she would call me up in the morning and motivate me to get out of bed and finish that project that I hadn't been able to finish. So there are three events that happened that kind of threw me out in the world in a different way. And the first was when I was 30, and it was Memorial Day, and it was the wee hours of the morning. And my mother rolled over and took her last breath. The night nurse and my father had just given her a bath, a sponge bath, and put her in a beautiful, fresh cotton nightgown. And when they rolled her over, she died. And guess how many minutes I lived away from my mom? About 3. So I was there before the heat of her body had cooled down. And my brother and sister came from where they had left to go home to. And we sat there with my mom at home until the light faded. And we had to make that call for the person who comes to, it's like the taxi, but the taxi was actually a black hearse coming down our driveway. And when he came in, he said he wanted us to put her in her Sunday best. Well, there was no such thing, and we said no way in hell, because she's in her nightie and she's clean, and you can just wrap her in the white flannel blanket and take her that way. So the second event is May 3rd, a year and a half later. And my husband and I are we're racing down the road to a hospital where my father is. And when we get there, they tell us, well, they didn't make it to this hospital. Go back to the one that was only 3 minutes away from where my father and I live too. So we're tearing down the road. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, and at that time we had a Volvo 122 station wagon, a really old, funky, beautiful car. And Mark decides, he was 8 years older than me, by the way. That's an important detail. He decides he's just going to go right through the light. Well, there's a cop there, and he pulls us over. And we tell him the whole story, and he gives us this big warning. My husband had a long ponytail. And anyway, so we make it to the hospital too late. And I sit down beside my newlywed stepmother. And the first thing that comes out of her mouth is, "We never finished the will." Story number 3. A year later, I returned from a 5-week trip to Japan to visit my sister, and I walk into my house that I'd lived in for 10 years with my husband. 7 years before that, that's 17 years, which is almost 20. And Mark's not there. It was a little odd. So I called my friend Meg in New Mexico, and I said, "Megan, he's not here." And I'm on the phone, and he walks in, and he has this look on his face, and I said, "I'm going to call you back." So he sets me down in the kitchen. We have a day bed there. And he says, "I've got something to tell you. I'm leaving. And there's nothing you can do about it, and there's nothing you did to make me leave. I met someone that's just like me." I'm stunned. And I said, the only thing that came out of my mouth was, "Isn't that narcissistic?" Okay, I moved to Philadelphia. I did it myself. Finally, I moved, I rented the house out, and I go to the open circle for a whole year and never sing. I sit in the audience. And there's a woman named Mary, Big Mary. She sings every single time, and she belts it out at the top of her lungs, and she cannot carry a tune. And I'm saying, well, if Mary can do it, why can't I do it? Well, you know, more time goes by, literally a year, maybe a year and a half. And then David, he sings the same sad song every time. Not a different sad song, but the same sad song. And I'm like, well, Mary can sing that. David can sing this sad song. So one night I decide that I am going to do it myself. And I sang this song. Winds through the night, they're blowing so lonesome, singing a song to me. The whippoorwill's call is just a reminder, pretty girls have hearts made of stone. Awake with the blues at dawn, my darling Corey is gone. I don't know why he told me goodbye. Darling Corey is gone. Thank you.